Hello, 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 everybody. Happy Friday night. Welcome to my Zen Den. My name is Mandy Van Havermint, and I am an independent demonstrator with Stampin' Up from Gray Eagle, Minnesota. And I am still playing with online exclusives that were released. Tonight we're going to be playing with the Grow with Love bundle. It is a really cool bundle. It's very organic. It's earthy. It's herbs and things like that. And it's really just fun, and I like this kind of stamp set because I really like earthy tones and the neutral colors and things like that. So let's flip the camera around and we are going to get stamping. 1 second, please. All right, let's do it. And I think I figured my tripod out from last week. Remember, my tripod was falling. I just didn't have the screws tightened good enough. So tonight we are going to tighten those babies down and we are going to have a great technical evening. Okay, I'm not there yet. All right, here we go. So I don't know if you guys are aware of the online exclusives. If you go to the online store, if you go to the online store and you click shop by, there is a column there that is, or a feature that is online exclusives. And this is a set that is in there this time. This was just released the beginning of January. It's called Grow with Love. It's really a cute stamp set. The sentiments are "You're on my mind," from the Garden of, and then it's got this little dash so you can write a name on there. Thanks so much for your love and care. It's got this great frame, and then it's got this little one up here that says Grown with Love. And then basil, rosemary, mint, and thyme. And then it comes with some dies also, a couple really cool label dies. This die here matches this here, so it'll cut that out. And then the dies that'll cut out the shape of each plant. And then it also comes with this really big die that does not fit into my stamp case. But this is a really neat die because it creates this envelope. So I cut one out just to show you. It's almost a full 6x6 piece of paper, but it folds into this little pouch. And then this here die would actually, the label would fit right on there. And so it's really a neat packet looking piece. So I will play with that more, and I will show you more to come with that. But tonight we've got a couple of different cards. We're going to start with this one right here. And so this is the card we're going to make similar to this. I'm using the paper, the designer series paper from the what is it called? Timeless Plaid. I was going to say Forever Plaid. The Timeless Plaid paper pack. Very fun paper. I like it because it's very neutral, right? So, and this is a little bit of a fun fold. It's a book bind fold, and usually I see book bind folds go like this, but I thought I'd try it like that. So let's give it a shot here. What we're going to need is a piece of basic beige, and that is 8.5 by 5.5, and I'm going to show you how to score that in just a second. That's the piece I lost. I just lost my designer series paper. There it is. I found it. I knew something fell. I've got a piece of Mossy Meadow that is 3/4 inches wide, 5 1/4 inches long. And then I've got this piece of designer series paper from the plaid pack that's in the mini catalog, 3 by 5 1/4. I've got a pretty decent sized piece of basic beige, and then another little scrap of Mossy Meadow. So I'm going to first show you how to score this to make that book binding fold. So we're going to bring in our paper trimmer, and on the long side we're going to score it at 3 1/4. Make sure you use your scoring blade, don't use your cutting blade. So we're going to score it at 3 1/4, and we're going to score it at 4 1/4. Okay, so that's going to give us this. It's going to fold that way, and then it will open up that way, just like that. And when you make a book binding card, you really want to use some aggressive adhesive on this panel right here to hold that down. I like to use either glue, or my preference is tear and tape. So let's go ahead and adhere that down right close to the seam, right there, and then right close to the fold. You might be able to get by with one piece. I don't want to chance it, so I'm using 2. Okay, so, and tear and tape is our most aggressive adhesive. It beats Seal Plus. Very good stuff. So we're just going to fold that over and burnish it really well. And then you can take your bone folder and do that. And that way it'll open nice whenever your recipient gets it. Okay, so let's set that aside. Now our slip of mossy meadow, I am going to use, I've used the Distress Tile embossing folder. Any embossing folder that looks old would work, like with the old-timey kind of look. This is a 3D embossing folder, and if you notice, mine has got a curve in it. I made a sandwich that was a little too thick once, so that's what happened, but it still works just fine. So this is a 3D embossing folder, so we're going to use plate number 1 and plate number 4, just like it tells us to on our platform. So plate number 1, our embossing folder with our paper inside, plate number 4. Run that through the cut and emboss machine. Just like that, and it comes out just, I love that embossing folder. It's one of my favorites. I'm going to be so sad when that retires. I'm sure it will retire someday, but I'm going to be really sad when it does, because I like it a lot, which is why it's bent. Okay, so let's get stamping here. I am going to use Early Espresso, and I am going to use Mossy Meadow inks. I've got my piece. Hey, look, guys, I do it too. I make mistakes too. It happens to everybody. All right, so I'm going to use my frame stamp, and then this time I am going to use, let's see, on my sample I used thyme. On this one I am going to use rosemary. And while I was prepping tonight, I thought, you know, Stampin' Up! Never does anything halfway. They always mean something by what they put into their stamps. In fact, I remember years ago there was a Oriental symbol in one of them, and so I used the Google Lens to search it, and it meant friendship. And I thought, okay, so Stampin' Up, you have to mean something by these herbs, by basil, rosemary, mint, and thyme. So I looked it up on Google. I messed up. This one's kicking my butt. Okay, anyhow, I looked it up, and so here's what these mean. Thyme stands for strength, courage, protection, and healing. And I thought, oh, that's really sweet. That makes sense. I got to focus on while I'm stamping. I can't talk and stamp at the same time. Okay, rosemary, remembrance, love, and fidelity. That's pretty cool. And this is all the AI at the top of the Google search, right? And then mint is healing, hospitality, and rejuvenation. I'm thinking, oh, these are really good. I'm really excited. So I get to basil, and it's love, protection, and hatred, which I thought was hilarious. I don't think hatred is what they meant. I don't like that one, but I thought that was just so funny. I had to share it. Oh, let's do one more thing. I'm going to stamp with the You're on My mind, and that's what I'm going to stamp on the Mossy Meadow piece. Is that what I want to do? That's not what I want to do. That is not what I want to do. We're going to stamp that on here, and I'm going to stamp an extra one on the back side, or cut an extra one on the back side. That was not looking right. I'm too excited about basil being about hatred. That is the goofiest thing I've ever heard. Okay, so I don't think Stampin' Up! Meant to make a stamp about hatred. Just saying. Okay, so we're going to bring in our cut and emboss machine, and because we are cutting, we are going to make the plate or the sandwich right here. So we're going to use 1, 2, and 2 clear plates, 2 number 3s. And let's grab our dies. So I'm going to use this die, and that lines up so perfectly on that. And I always keep little pieces of Post-it tape on my cut and emboss machine. Okay, and we're going to use this little little guy right here. And I got another piece of Post-it tape. Just like that. All right. So we'll run that through the cut and emboss machine. Woo, just like that. So we've got that beautiful cutout image there. Put that back. Put that one back. And I've got my little guy right there. I'm going to cut one more out, which is why I have my piece of green there. Same sandwich. Run it through your cut and emboss machine. All right, so I've got one extra one of those. Okay. So let's assemble our card. Okay. So first things first, I'm going to attach this green mossy meadow piece when I locate my Stampin' Seal. Just like this. And I'm just centering that on the piece that is, I can see my score line right there. Just like, isn't that pretty? I love the embossed look. So that is centered right on there. Now I'm going to take my piece of Designer Series paper. And put that down. I'm lining it up on the top right up there. They should be the same height, so they should line up perfectly. All right, and then I'm going to take and adhere this down like that. And I'm not using dimensionals. I thought this would be good just down. What a great note card for somebody who likes to cook with herbs, or a gardener. What a great, this would be a great set of note cards. Okay, and because this is a flat, has two smooth edges, I can do my trick where I line that up just like that, and it's going to make kind of a shadow on the outside. I love that look. It's one of my favorites. Just like that. And then I'm going to grab some linen thread. And if you ever have troubles with your linen thread, like curling when you go to tie a bow and it doesn't get those curls out, go ahead and run a scissors through it like that and break the fibers. That helps to tie the bow. It makes it so it's not quite so stiff. And I'm literally just tying a bow. It's not anything fancy. It's going to be kind of just a big sloppy bow, because what I'm going to do is put that behind here like a so. Okay, so that was a lot of sews. All right, trim that off. And then I'm going to, you have one of two options. You can put a little piece of tape here, or you can put a little piece of tape on the back. I usually do it on the back. That's just, I'm a creature of habit, and that's what I do. There is no right or wrong way to do that. So we're just going to stick that onto the back. And then I'll grab some dimensionals. We're going to do 3, just because that's what I want to do. And just center that underneath your picture and in between here. Then give those ends just a little bitty snip. Oh, maybe wouldn't even need it. All right, there is card number 1. Super easy, and it's fancy. It's a fancy fold like that. So I've got the thyme and I've got the rosemary there. Let's move on to our second card. Second card is similar to this. I'm going to change the colors up a little bit on that one. But it's actually a pretty simple card. There's not a lot of pieces to it. So we have got a piece of early espresso, 8.5 by 5.5, just a basic score right down the middle at 4 1/4. I've got a piece, I'm going to use Old Olive. On this card, I used Garden Green with the basil stamp. This time I'm going to use Old Olive, and I'm going to use the mint stamp. I'm having problems with my DSP today. I dropped this one as well. 3 3/4 by 3 3/4. This is the Timeless Plaid also. There is a piece similar to this. It's more of a houndstooth looking pattern, but it's also very similar to this in the Perennial Lavender. So just know if you don't have the Timeless Plaid and you want to make do with the Perennial Lavender, that would work as well. And then for the inside, I've got 4 by 5 1/4 piece of crumb cake. So fold and burnish our card because that's just what I always do first. Set that aside. For our inks, I'm going to be using Old Olive, and I'm going to be using Early Espresso again. So let's get stamping here. My first thing that I'm going to do is I am going to use my frame stamp again and back into my Early Espresso. And I'm just going to center that as best I can. You can see my stamp is off center. When I adhered my label onto my stamp, I tried to do my best to line the lines up where the stamp is. My stamp is actually off a little bit, but I can work with that. That's not a problem. Whew, it was close. Almost made a boo-boo. Okay, so there's that. And then while I've got my Early Espresso, I'm going to use Thanks So Much for Your Love and Care. Actually, you know what? I don't know that I want the love and care. I'm going to show you a trick. I'm just going to do a regular thank you card instead of a thanks so much for the love and care. Let's clean that off. I'm going to grab a piece of Scotch tape. Regular old Scotch tape. This isn't double-sided or anything like that. I'm going to tape off. You can see what I'm doing here. I'm going to tape off the words that say the For Your Love and Care. I'm going to tape that off so that's not going to get any ink. So now I'm only going to say thanks so much. Ink that up, and I'm going to peel that off, and I'll be able to stamp. And I'm stamping right in the middle of my Old Olive, just like that. Isn't that neat? So if you don't like the For Your Love and Care, you can mask that off to get rid of that. Just make sure you throw this in the garbage and don't get it all over your fingers. There's a really good chance I still will. Anyhow, okay, so now let's set that aside. I'm going to open up my Old Olive. And I'm going to ink up my mint stamp. And center it as best I can. Straight down, straight up. Pretty. I like that. Okay, so now I'm going to show you how to do this distressing look. Close your ink pads. That's rule number 1 when we're going to do this technique. Actually, you can't close that one yet. Yes, it is. We're going to close that ink pad. Because what we're going to do is we're going to take our snips, which mine are really dirty, but we're going to take our snips and we're going to rough up the edge of this paper. And I was just talking to somebody today about messy card making and how it's hard because we want perfection. When I was doing this earlier tonight to make these samples, because I thought of this at work, I literally cut my paper and I thought, you know what? I'm going to go with it because I just did it again, almost. Because messy, it's supposed to be messy. And it's hard to make messy cards for me. It's hard. I appreciate it when I see others do it. I think, oh, that's so neat. And then I go to make a messy card and I want to make it not messy. So We are making lint, we are making crumbs, we are making a mess, we are ruining our paper, and that's perfectly okay because it's going to look so cool when you're done. There you go, I just ripped it a little bit. It's going to look so cool when we're done. Stampin' Up! Actually, before I was a demonstrator, before I was into paper crafting, used to have a distressing tool. If you don't have a distressing tool, this is all I've ever used right here. Just my snips. And it seems to work okay for me. I like how it turns out. So. Oh, there we go. I just ripped it. That's okay. That's okay. We're going to call it okay. Don't cut your finger, but make it scrappy. Make it scrappy. I like that. Maybe that's what no, I don't need to name the technique. I'm making a mess. That's what I'm doing. Okay. I just did it again. Okay. Okay. Most important part of this technique. Get rid of your crumbs. Just wipe them on the floor like your mama told you not to. Okay, and so then we're going to grab a piece of scratch paper, which I had brought out. Here it is. Because we're going to bring in a, see, there's lint. We're going to bring in a blending brush, and we're going to open up our ink pad again. I did it. I did that. Ay, ay, ay. Okay. So, pick up some ink on your blending brush, start off the paper, and go in. And make sure you get all the lint off of there. I'm pulling lint off here. The lint will get on your ink pad, and you don't want lint on your ink pad. That's why we get rid of the lint. You don't want that lint on your ink pad. It'll make a mess on your stamps. It's going to make bad images on your stamps, things like that. So make sure you get rid of that lint. And I love the way this kind of looks a little bit like it was burnt on the edges. If you wanted to use a lighter color, maybe if you wanted to use crumb cake or even a pumpkin or a pecan pie, getting my pies mixed up, that would work. And I'm going to roll with that little corner there that's just being naughty. I'm going to roll with it. It's going to be messy, and I'm going to embrace the messiness. And I'm just putting a little more ink throughout the whole thing, just so that inside isn't so white. But I like the way that that's stamped onto there. I think that's just the coolest. I like it a lot. Okay, so that is done. So we're going to let that sit for just a second. I'm going to pull in our die. I'm going to use the bigger one of those. And this is actually going to mat onto here. But first, I'm going to cut out our sentiment, or thanks so much. So I could cut it. Let's see if that will work in here, just for fun. I'm going to use the big one, but I want to see if, not quite. Not quite. It's pretty tight to use that little one. So, and I'm going to off center it just a smidge, not too much, because I'm going to put a bow over there. Let's grab a piece of, just make sure it's straight. I've got my Post-it tape there. And don't feel like you need to go buy Post-it tape either. It's handy, it's useful for a lot of different projects, but if you've got washi tape, use washi tape. Use whatever. The thing about stamping and scrapbooking and card making is it's kind of fun to just forage around and find what you have and use what you have and make something beautiful, especially reusing things, right? That is the funnest part, I think. Okay, so let's put our card together. I'm going to embrace this corner. That corner, I'm embracing it. Even though it's messy and it's not right. Okay. And I'm not going to try to fix it because part of me is like, oh, maybe if I just tape that down, it'll tape down. I'm not going to. It might fall off. You just never know. It looks vintage. And I love vintage. I'm convincing myself. I love it. I do like it. All right. And I'm not going to add any dimensionals on this one either. As I was making these, I was not feeling dimensionals. I was feeling just flat, nice flat cards. So, isn't that cool? That is so neat. All right, and so then I'm going to just attach that right down there. Here again, just directly down, no dimensionals. If you want to use dimensionals, knock yourself out. Just like that. All right, and then I'm going to pull in our linen thread again, and I'm going to take my scissors and just kind of break those fibers a little bit. And I'm making a double bow, so I wanted one that was a little bit more, a little thicker. So I just doubled it into two. Snip my loop. And I'm just tying a basic, just like you would tie your shoelaces. If you like to do the bunny ears, do the bunny ears. However you can get your bow to tie, which obviously I'm struggling with. Oh, one more time. Let's line them up. Okay, one more time. Ta-da! Just play with it a little bit till it gets to where you want it to be. Let's snip that off because one went in between. This is not that hard. Oh my word. Come on, bow. You're making it look harder than it is. Okay, there we go. I got them. I got them together now. Whew, that was tough. All right, so it's just doubled, right? So I'm actually going to, I think, go that direction with it. I'm gonna grab a little glue spot, and the way I usually do it is I just set my bow right down on the knot, right on that glue dot, and then pull it right off the backing. Just like that. And then go ahead and give your ends a trim. Like that. So cute. Let's put our inside in before I forget. I think I like my old olive card better. I'll have to show them to you side by side. So there's the finished product, like that. This is the one, and I did not stamp, or what am I want? Mask off the For Your Love and Care. I didn't mask that off. I just left it. But which one do you like better? Do you like the old olive or do you like the garden green better? I like them both. All right, so there's our finished products for tonight. I really, really like this stamp set. And again, the big die makes that little pocket. So really it's a fun stamp set. I really like it. I'm excited to make, I'm thinking I might make a sampler together with the storybook. Has all the gardening things in it. I think that would be a lot of fun to make. The old olive is really pretty, Pam, isn't it? But the storybook suite that's in the mini catalog paired with this might make a really fun sampler piece of wall art. I'm thinking I'm gonna have to try it. So I hope you get some stamping done this weekend. If you're coming to Sock Center tomorrow morning for Stamp Camp, I'm excited to see you. If you have any questions ever regarding stamp camps, I know I tend to tell you, like, say that they're going to be tomorrow on a Friday night. Get a hold of me and I will be happy. We've got some planned out in advance. So I would be more than happy to give you the dates for those so that you can prepare and make some plans to attend. I would love to see you there. It would be just awesome to stamp with you. Otherwise, have a great weekend, and I will see you next time we're down in my Zen Den. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.